Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Injury Law Pod. I am your host, Eric Bartlett, and this is the podcast dedicated to all things personal injury law related. I'm a 28-year personal injury lawyer, and I've seen just about every type of accident that can occur where people are injured. So, this podcast brings knowledge to those seeking it, and we try to keep it simple, not using big legal words, things like that. And up today, we're going to talk about a big one. This is Motorcycle Awareness Month. And May is a time when obviously the weather is getting warmer, people are hitting the roads, and they're doing so on motorcycles. And so that's why May has been designated as a time for everybody to just think about sharing the road with those on two wheels as opposed to four. And it's a really big deal because unfortunately, there are a lot of motorcycle accidents every year. Here in our office, we get calls all the time from people that are injured in motorcycle accidents. I had a call literally yesterday, a young couple that they were hit by a car. It sent them flying. The female was launched from the motorcycle into the windshield of the car, and the driver, he was launched in a different direction. They both sustained pretty serious injuries, had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital. He was admitted for a couple days due to his injuries. She was there at the emergency room department for quite a few hours. And so, literally, motorcycle accidents are happening every day. And so, it's just a really good time to slow down, talk about motorcycle safety, talk about motorcycle awareness, and just really bring it to the public's attention. We're all out there, we're all driving on the roads, and it's an important situation because obviously none of us want to be responsible for causing an accident, and certainly we don't want to be responsible for an accident that we clearly could have avoided if we just keep certain common sense safety things in our minds as we're driving. So we're going to talk about the fact that the statistics are scary, right? So the most recent statistics on motorcycle accidents come from 2023. And in that year, Missouri recorded 172 motorcycle deaths. That accounted for 17% of all traffic deaths, despite the fact that motorcycles only comprise about 2.6% of registered vehicles in Missouri. So you have this very tiny amount of motorcycles on the roadways compared to other vehicles, but you have a pretty large death rate when accidents happen. So that's why it's really important. And there's a campaign out there, look twice, save a life. And that's a really good reminder, that the idea being, again, just slow down, make sure if you're at a stop sign and you're looking before you're pulling out, you just look again, because that's really the biggest thing that we see, is that people don't see motorcycles. And again, just from our experience, the majority of the motorcycles we see are people pulling out or turning in front of motorcycles because they don't see them, or they don't judge their distance from their vehicle appropriately. And it's because they're just not taking those extra seconds to slow down, take a look, and maybe pause and maybe save a life. So again, just as of 2025, I just mentioned we literally just had a call. 2025, some notable motorcycle accidents in May of last year around Marshall, Missouri. A 50-year-old motorcyclist was rear ended by a pickup truck that resulted in life threatening injuries. In that one, the rider wasn't wearing a helmet. We're going to talk about Missouri's helmet law at this point. In Phelps County, a 74-year-old man, he veered off the road on his motorcycle. He hit a utility pole. He was wearing a helmet and ended up being airlifted in serious condition. There was a Lawson, Missouri incident where a 42-year-old man crashed into a fence after veering off the road. He wasn't wearing a helmet and he sustained life-threatening injuries. And then finally, in St. Louis County, there was a hit and run. A 45-year-old motorcyclist was seriously injured in a hit and run collision. And in Springfield, a 41-year-old motorcyclist died following a collision with a vehicle making a left turn. So again, just these few clips from the news show that these accidents not only involve necessarily other vehicles, but they can just be simply from motorcyclists failing to negotiate the roadway, maybe losing attention, something like that. And so again, we're going to talk about some of the programs that are out there to help people that are interested in motorcycle riding gain the skills that are necessary to safely operate a motorcycle on the highways. We got to remember, we are talking motorcycles are on 70-mile-per-hour speed limit highways. So there is high speed involved, and the risk for serious problems is always present when you're out there, just as it is when you're in a car. The problem is you don't have the protection of a car when you're on a motorcycle. And usually when there is a motorcycle accident, it results in serious injury, again, potentially death. Now, we need to think about the fact that motorcyclists in Missouri obviously have the same legal rights and obligations as other motorists on the roadways. And we all need to share the road. We all need to be mindful of each other. And it's just a really important thing to keep in mind that we're all out there. Everybody has the same rights, the same privileges. And again, we have to watch out for each other. So Missouri's current helmet law, it changed as of 2020. And right now it requires riders under the age of 26 years old or those with an instruction permit to wear a DOT, Department of Transportation compliant helmet. But if you're above that age or you don't have that instruction permit and you have health insurance, you do not have to wear a helmet when you operate a motorcycle on the public roadways. And that becomes a personal preference. I personally, because of what I see, I think it's a wise thing to wear a helmet if you're on a motorcycle on the roadways. But again, it's a personal preference. But I always say, this is our brain. This is what allows us to do everything in life, from breathing to thinking and working and everything. So it's a pretty important asset to our body. And when you make that decision, obviously you have to weigh the risk versus the benefits that you believe you'll get from not wearing a helmet. So one thing I really want to point out, and this kind of leads from the call I had yesterday. If in general, if you're going to have a vehicle, you're going to be driving, you need to have good insurance, right? Especially on a motorcycle. You need to have good insurance. And whether that's on the motorcycle, on your other vehicles, however you package that together, you need to ensure that if you're in an accident, somebody else causes that accident, that in the potential situation where they either don't have insurance or they don't have enough insurance, you have taken the steps to protect yourself with your own insurance. So, what does that mean? What is good insurance in my eyes? Number one, you're going to have, if you have insurance on your motorcycle or your other vehicles, then you're going to have uninsured motorist coverage. So, that's going to protect you if somebody causes an accident that does not have insurance. Okay, that's required in Missouri, it's required in Kansas. So you're going to have that. The less known insurance coverage that could become very critical is something called underinsured motorist coverage. And if you search through prior podcasts, you'll see discussions about all of this, and you can get more information about exactly what that looks like. But what you need to basically take away today is underinsured motorist coverage is there if that other driver doesn't have enough insurance to compensate you for medical bills, lost wages, whatever, pain and suffering, future medical, all of these things that can get wrapped into a serious injury claim. You have the insurance in place to protect yourself. And what I see a lot of times is with motorcycles, people go on the cheaper side or less insurance on a motorcycle, and it's really no place to skip important coverages or go cheap. And I should point out, so again, in Missouri, it's not a required coverage. Underinsured is not a required coverage. In Kansas, it is. So if you're insured, you're a Kansas resident and you're insured in Kansas, you're going to have underinsured coverage on any policy that you have. But the other part of this is, again, when I say going cheap, right? The state minimum required amount is $25,000 for Missouri and Kansas. So that means in order to be legal on the highway, you have to have an insurance policy of at least $25,000. But think about this. Just think again about this call that I just had. These people were taken by ambulance. One of them was hospitalized for a couple days. They're going to have continuing care. Do you think $25,000 is going to go very far for making up for all the losses that they have? It's not, period. So you need to put in place the most amount of insurance on your own policy that you can afford to take care of you in the event of an accident. And again, if you're on a motorcycle, you just have to understand you're at a higher risk of being involved in a serious accident. And if you don't have appropriate insurance in place, you're at a higher risk of really being in a terrible situation if you end up hurt and out of commission, facing medical bills, not able to work, and then potentially future care. And again, just going through everything, the non-economic part of it, right? The pain and suffering. I always say the minimum amount of insurance you should have is $100,000 minimum. That, so again, that would be your coverage if you cause an accident, right? You would have $100,000 of coverage to protect you. But then also same for uninsured and underinsured. And again, I've done podcasts on all of this with more detail, so feel free to check those out. But again, I can't stress enough. Insurance, make sure you have it if you're out on the road on a motorcycle, and get as much as you possibly can. So what are some good tips to keep in mind when we're out there on the roadways? If we're driving a vehicle, 3 key things. Always check your blind spots and your mirrors before changing lanes. Again, motorcycles are hard to see. And if you don't take the appropriate amount of time and caution to check to see if somebody's beside you, you could very well have a motorcycle right there. You could crash into them, and then there's a bad situation unfolding. The other thing is give motorcycles appropriate space and distance There are times where a motorcycle may encounter something on the roadway. And again, it's a small vehicle, it can maneuver quickly, and they may have to make some evasive maneuver. And if you're right up on them, or if they have to stop suddenly or anything like that, there's a high likelihood that you're going to crash into them. So, again, if there's motorcycles out there, just give them a little extra space. Allow for them to potentially have to make some evasive maneuver. Or listen, if a motorcyclist is driving not the most safest, right, then you're allowing that to occur and you not be involved. And then finally, be extra cautious at intersections. Again, the biggest thing we see is somebody pulling out or turning in front of a motorcycle. They're just not taking that extra second to make sure there's nothing coming, to judge the distance and the speed of the motorcycle, to make sure there's plenty of time to pull out. You can always wait, let the motorcycle pass, and then proceed to pull out. Now, motorcyclists, listen, three things there. You should wear appropriate safety gear, including helmets. Again, bright clothing, things like that, right? Anything to draw attention to yourself. Headlights on, all those things are going to help identify a motorcyclist on the roadways. Obviously, there's no future. Number one, it's illegal. And then number two, it's not wise. If you've been drinking, do not operate a motorcycle. As we all know, I really don't even have to say it, but it's not a good idea. Your reaction time, your ability to balance, all the things that are necessary to safely operate a motorcycle are going to be impaired, and it's going to be more likely that you're going to end up in some kind of a crash. It may be of your own doing if you get on a motorcycle after you've been drinking. So obviously, very common sense. And again, it's against the law. And finally, make sure your motorcycle is well maintained, right? Because again, a crash could occur due to some failure of the motorcycle. And there's just simply no reason for that. Just make sure you're checking your brakes, your turning mechanisms, things like that. Everything's in good working order. One great way for people that are interested in riding motorcycles out on the roadways to gain confidence, gain skill, learn all of the important things they need to know to be out on the roadway safely on a motorcycle is the Missouri Motorcycle Safety Program. And basically, that program offers a comprehensive rider education program across the state. It aims to enhance motorcycle safety and reduce accidents. And you can find courses just about everywhere in the state. They're offered at 21 authorized training sites, including locations in Kansas City, St. Louis, and many other regions throughout the state. And it's interesting because there's, I think, three different course offerings. You have an introductory motorcycle experience offering, right? It's usually 2 to 3 hours. It's designed for truly the beginner rider. They're seeking that one-on-one attention before enrolling in the next course. They're going to learn about basic controls, clutch friction zone, shifting, and braking. At these particular courses, they actually provide the motorcycle for you. So you don't even have to own a motorcycle at that point. You can sign up, you can go, and you can learn essentially how to ride a motorcycle. You have to be at least 15 and a half years old to enroll in that course. Then the next course offering is the basic rider course. That's usually 2 to 2.5 days. So this particular course offers a 5-hour online e-course, and then that's followed by on-range riding lessons. Again, for that course, they'll provide a motorcycle. So you still don't even have to own a motorcycle. You can be learning this stuff in advance of you getting a motorcycle. And maybe you figure out motorcycle riding isn't for you during this time. But essentially, successful completion of this course, this second course, provides a waiver for both the written and the writing tests that are required for a Missouri motorcycle endorsement. In order to legally operate a motorcycle on the roadways, you have to have a special endorsement on your license. You can't just jump on a motorcycle with a regular driver's license and be legal. You have to have a special endorsement. Again, the location for those programs is all over the state. We'll make sure to have this link for this program in the show notes. So if you want to follow up and find out more. And then there's also the Basic Rider Course 2, which is a 1-day program. And it's designed for riders with at least 1 year of experience or 1,000 miles ridden. And on this one, you're going to have your own motorcycle at that point. They don't provide the motorcycle. You're going to learn advanced skills like emergency braking, swerving, and cornering. And again, available all over the state. Then there's the Advanced Rider Course. And that is designed for experienced riders that are seeking to enhance their skills. And again, you're going to bring your own motorcycle and you're going to learn high level techniques, including advanced cornering and hazard avoidance. So all of these, right? Great stair-step way to hone your motorcycle riding abilities. Learning about safety, learning about good control of the motorcycle, and what to really be watching out for when you're out there on the roadways. They also offer a 3-wheel basic rider course, which is anybody interested in operating 3-wheeled motorcycles, which is a thing now, right? A lot of people are on the trikes, and so they will provide those. They'll provide usually Can-Am Rikers or something similar. So again, if you're interested in that or transitioning to that, there's a course for it to let you get familiar. This also, if you complete this course, it also provides a waiver for the Missouri DMV written and writing test for a 3-wheel motorcycle endorsement, which you have to have. Now, make sure before you go to get your license endorsement, you check with the DMV where you're planning to go, because some of them do have varying acceptance policies, and it's advisable to contact your local DMV in advance to confirm they accept that safety program's completion card. So again, as we hit May, great time to just bring it into our minds that motorcycles are going to be on the road, and they're going to be more, especially on the weekends. But you're going to have people commuting to work, going to some event, whatever it is, and they're going to want to get out on their motorcycle. And so we're going to be encountering motorcycles much more frequently as vehicle drivers, and we just need to take a moment, slow down, and be aware and keep in mind what we need to do to avoid a crash with a motorcycle. And again, whether you are a car driver or a motorcyclist on the road, prioritize safety, prioritize awareness when you're out there driving. And again, it's all common sense. We hear it all the time, right? Avoid distracted driving, slow down, just take an extra moment before making certain maneuvers that could lead to an accident. You're going to still get to your destination on time, and you very well might do it without causing a serious accident or being involved in a serious accident, whatever that looks like. We're going to link some other resources as well. If you're interested in more on motorcycle accidents, and God forbid you're in one, what you need to do step by step, you can watch this video that I did specifically on motorcycle accidents, and it'll give you much more detail if that event occurs in your life. But otherwise, listen, I hope everybody stays safe on the roads, stays well, enjoy the warm weather, and let's all do it safely and accident free. Until next time, I'm Eric Bartlett. Take care.